Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is quite literally reshaping the modern educational landscape. We are talking about transforming digital classrooms for students with diverse needs. Look, whether you're an educator, an administrator, or just someone really passionate about equitable learning, you already know that distance learning has totally flipped how we think about education. So in this Explainer, we're going to unpack exactly how we can empower teachers to support special needs students in these virtual spaces. And we're going to put a huge focus on highlighting the essential assistive technologies and resources that make it all possible.
So let me start by asking you a question. Is your virtual classroom truly open to everyone? It's a pretty heavy question, isn't it? When we all made that sudden shift to online learning, a lot of students hit an immediate distance learning barrier. But for students navigating physical, mental, or emotional challenges, that barrier wasn't just a hurdle, it was like a reinforced wall. Because if a digital classroom isn't built from the ground up with accessibility in mind, it inadvertently shuts the door on exceptional learners who desperately need that connection.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our quick roadmap for today's Explainer. We're going to start with the distance learning barrier, explore why inclusion matters, define universal design for learning, really dig into those essential assistive technologies, discuss overcoming virtual classroom challenges, and wrap up with resources for teacher empowerment. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The distance learning barrier.
We really need to start by acknowledging the reality we are living in right now. Online education, it's no longer just a backup plan for a snow day. It is a standard, permanent practice. And because the medium has changed permanently, our methods absolutely have to evolve with it. The takeaway here is that adapting online education isn't optional anymore. It is an absolute necessity to give special needs students the tools they require to succeed and actually stay engaged. Teachers aren't just delivering information anymore. You are the architects of the digital space. It's up to educators to ensure these classrooms are accessible so that absolutely no child is left behind.
Moving on to Section 2. Why inclusive education matters.
The stakes here couldn't be higher. But when educators get this right, it is an absolute game changer. It takes a medium that can feel incredibly isolating and turns it into an environment where a student can actually thrive, sometimes even better than they did in a physical classroom. Think about a student with a learning disability who usually struggles to keep up with the real-time rush of a traditional classroom. By using flexible pacing, that student can hit pause, process the information, and review the material without feeling left behind. You add an enhanced engagement through multimedia, and you are fostering a whole new level of independence. Plus, it naturally opens the door for much stronger collaboration with parents and caregivers at home.
Which brings us to Section 3, Universal Design for Learning.
So how do we actually pull this off? Well, if you want your virtual space to be truly open, you need a proactive game plan. And that is exactly what Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, provides. By definition, UDL is a framework that requires proactive planning and flexibility to adapt online learning practices for diverse learners. Basically, it means you aren't just scrambling to retrofit a standard lesson for a special needs student at the 11th hour. No, you're applying inclusive pedagogy right from the initial lesson planning stage. You're designing interactive activities from the ground up, anticipating those typical barriers and removing them before the student even logs in.
Now for a really crucial part, Section 4. Essential assistive technologies.
Let's pivot from the theory to the practical toolkit. For an educator in a digital space, these are your magical tools, and this brilliantly illustrates the difference they make. Think about a traditional digital lesson, maybe just a static PDF and a talking head on a video feed. For a student with a visual impairment or an attention deficit, that is incredibly frustrating and exclusionary. Contrast that with a tech-assisted inclusive lesson, thoughtfully powered by assistive technology. Suddenly, the content adapts to the student, rather than forcing the student to adapt to the content. It's night and day.
Let's actually build out that inclusive toolkit right now by mapping specific student needs directly to the essential technologies highlighted in our source material. There's a direct line between the challenge and the solution here. For students with visual needs, we integrate screen readers so the text literally speaks to them. For students struggling with focus or hearing, captions provide a crucial secondary way to absorb the info. To really boost comprehension, we swap out static worksheets for interactive multimedia materials. And for general accessibility, using adaptable learning management system platforms, your LMS, ensures the whole environment is easy for everyone to navigate. Highlighting and integrating these specific tools is the key to bridging the gap in special education.
Next up, Section 5, Overcoming Virtual Classroom Challenges.
Now, acknowledging the power of these tools doesn't mean it's going to be perfectly smooth sailing. The reality is, teaching special ed in a distance learning setup is tough. But every single hurdle has a strategic solution. The source gives us a really clear pathway here. Step 1. Identify the real-world hurdles, like lack of reliable internet or student inattention. Step 2. Implement solutions, which means utilizing those inclusive tech tools we just highlighted and employing blended learning methods. And finally, Step 3, which is probably the most critical, empowering educators through targeted, continuous teacher training so you know exactly how to deploy these solutions in the real world.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 6, Resources for Teacher Empowerment. We can't ask teachers to be the architects of these digital spaces if we don't hand them the blueprints. So let's talk about resources. There is this incredibly powerful realization from the source material. With the right support, these challenges become opportunities for growth. I just love that. Digital teaching challenges don't have to be roadblocks. With the right e-learning strategies and professional development, educators can transform these exact obstacles into pathways to become more confident and effective teachers.
Platforms like Booty are stepping in to provide that exact support, offering professional development that focuses on highly specific, totally necessary skills. We're talking advanced training for autism support and online learning, mastering accessibility within virtual education systems, and executing effective blended learning methods. These platforms offer flexible, affordable courses that equip educators with the advanced special education resources they need to support every single learner, even when they aren't sharing the same physical room.
So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Are you ready to build truly inclusive online classrooms and make a real difference in the lives of each student? We've seen the UDL framework, we've highlighted the essential assistive technologies, and we know the resources are out there waiting for you. I really hope this empowers you to reflect on your own teaching practices, seek out that professional development, and ensure your digital classroom is a place where every exceptional learner can truly shine. Thanks so much for learning with me today.